The expulsion. Commander Elena Reeves stood motionless before the holo-projection, her weathered face illuminated by its cold blue light. The transmission repeated itself for the third time, the alien diplomat's voice flat and devoid of emotion. By unanimous decision of the Galactic Conclave's High Council, Earth and all human colonies are hereby expelled from the Conclave, effective immediately. All treaties are rendered null. All trade routes severed. All diplomatic recognition withdrawn. This decision is final and non-negotiable. The transmission ended without explanation or farewell. Just cold silence. The amphitheater of Earth's Galactic Affairs Center erupted into chaos. Diplomats shouted over one another, military officials demanded immediate action, and economists predicted catastrophe. But Elena heard none of it. 20 years as Earth's military commander had taught her to recognize a knife in the back when she felt one. "They did this quietly," she said, her voice cutting through the panic. Everyone fell silent. No warning, no debate, no chance to defend ourselves. Her eyes narrowed. Which means they've been planning this for years. President Zhang approached the central podium, his face ashen. "Commander Reeves, your assessment." Elena didn't hesitate. "They've been afraid of us for a long time, Mr. President. We ask too many questions. We challenge too many traditions. We innovate too quickly, and most dangerously." Her eyes flashed. "We inspire other species to do the same." She activated her neural link, projecting classified schematics onto the main display. "Fortunately, we anticipated something like this. Operation Blackout is ready for immediate implementation." The room fell silent as the assembled leaders of Earth recognized what they were seeing. Not a defensive plan, not a diplomatic countermeasure, something far more radical. "You want us to disappear," President Zhang whispered. "Completely," Elena confirmed. "And make it impossible for them to find us again." Within hours, the order was given. Deep beneath Antarctica's ice shelf, in a facility known only to 12 people on Earth, engineers activated the blackout protocol. Across the solar system, quantum communication relays began systematically shutting down. Wormhole stabilizers collapsed. Navigation beacons went dark. Every technological footprint humanity had ever left in the stars began to vanish. But that was only the first phase. In orbit above Mars, Dr. Sanjay Kapoor watched as his life's work awakened. The labyrinth matrix, an intricate web of self-replicating nanobots designed to corrupt and rewrite navigational data, spread across the solar system's edge. "It's working," he reported to Commander Reeves, his voice tight with both pride and grief. "Any ship attempting to chart a course to Sol will find themselves on a wild goose chase through empty space." "How long before they realize what we've done?" President Zhang asked. "Weeks, maybe months," Sanjay replied. "The beauty of the labyrinth is that it doesn't just erase our location, it creates thousands of false ones. They'll be chasing ghosts for years." Elena nodded grimly. "Good. That buys us time for Phase 2. Phase 2 was simultaneously more subtle and more aggressive. While Earth scrambled to become self-sufficient without alien trade, a different operation took place in the shadows. Every piece of alien technology on Earth, every quantum processor, every gravity manipulator, every FTL communication device was systematically dismantled, studied, and improved upon. "We're not just hiding," Elena explained to the War Council. "We're evolving. When they banished us, they expected us to beg for readmission, to crumble without their markets and resources. Instead, we're going to leap forward a century in a single year." But the conclave wasn't idle. As Earth's signal went dark, panic spread through the galactic community. The Alari, insectoid diplomats known for their calm, buzzed with agitation in emergency sessions. The Voth Directorate, Earth's closest trading partner, faced immediate economic collapse without human innovation feeding their tech industry. And in the shadows of the conclave itself, the architect of humanity's expulsion, High Counselor Vexnar of the Tsari Dominion, realized his mistake far too late. "What do you mean they've disappeared?" he demanded of his science minister. "An entire species doesn't just vanish." "They didn't just vanish," the minister replied, mandibles clicking nervously. "They've erased themselves from the galactic record. Navigation charts to Sol Sector are corrupted. Communication relays are dead. And our intelligence networks inside human space have gone completely silent." Vexinar's scales darkened with rage. "Find them. Use the tracking beacons embedded in our technology exports." "That's the problem, Counselor. All our technology on Earth has gone offline simultaneously. They've either destroyed it or," the minister hesitated, "found a way to neutralize our surveillance capabilities." What the Tseri didn't yet understand was that humanity hadn't just disconnected, they had weaponized the very network the Conclave relied upon. Hidden in the original communication protocols Earth had helped design decades ago were dormant lines of code, backdoors placed by human engineers who never fully trusted their new galactic neighbors. 6 months after the expulsion, these dormant programs awakened. Across the galaxy, Conclave ships began experiencing navigation glitches. Critical systems failed at random intervals. Classified communications leaked into public channels. Nothing catastrophic, not yet, just enough to create doubt, to fray the illusion of Conclave superiority. Meanwhile, Earth transformed. The initial economic shock gave way to a renaissance of innovation, freed from alien oversight and regulation. Technologies the Conclave had declared too dangerous to pursue flourished in hidden laboratories. The Prometheus drive, capable of folding space without traditional wormhole constraints, moved from theoretical to operational in months rather than decades. On the outer edges of what was once human space, Commander Elena Reeves stood on the bridge of the Defiance, Earth's first completely human-designed stealth vessel. Through the viewscreen, she watched as the last remnants of human presence were systematically removed from an abandoned mining outpost. "The Conclave will be sending another search team through this sector next week," her XO, Major Takai, reported. "Good," Elena replied. "Let them find nothing but dust and echoes. Earth is no longer their concern." Major Takai hesitated. "Commander, we've received another transmission from the Lorians. They're the third species this month to reach out secretly." Elena's expression didn't change, but her eyes narrowed slightly. "What do they want?" "The same as the others. Their economies are collapsing without human trade. Their technology is stagnating without our innovations. They're offering to broker peace with the Conclave." "Peace?" Elena laughed, a sound without humor. "We're not at war, Major. We simply took our ball and went home." She turned from the viewscreen. "Tell the Lorians what we told the others. Earth has no interest in rejoining a community that discarded us without a second thought." As the Defiance slipped silently into the void, Elena added, "But inform them that if they wish to establish direct bilateral relations outside Conclave oversight, we might be persuaded to listen." Across the galaxy, the carefully constructed order of the Galactic Conclave began to crack. The first fracture appeared when the Voth Directorate publicly questioned the decision to expel humanity. The second came when the Elysian Republic revealed they had lost contact with 3 survey vessels in what should have been well-charted space. And in the darkness between stars, humanity prepared its response, not with warships and weapons, but with something far more dangerous, a new way of existing in the cosmos, independent of the Conclave's rigid hierarchy. The message that would forever change the galactic balance of power came not from Earth, but from within the Conclave's own communication network, bypassing every security protocol as if they didn't exist. "You cast us out because you feared what we might become. Now you will see what we are without your chains. We do not seek red mission. We do not seek revenge. We seek only to remind you of one simple truth. You should have killed us when you had the chance." The Reckoning. 1 year to the day after humanity's expulsion, High Counselor Vexnar of the Tseri stood before the Conclave Emergency Assembly, his scales dulled with stress, his once commanding presence diminished by 12 months of escalating crisis. The situation has become untenable, he admitted, every word causing him physical pain. Without human innovation, our technological development has stagnated. Without human markets, 16 member worlds face economic collapse. Without human mediation, 3 separate border disputes have escalated to military standoffs. He paused, swallowing his pride. And as of yesterday, we have confirmed that 37 critical systems across conclave space have been compromised by what appears to be a human-designed viral AI. The assembly erupted into shouting. Accusations flew. Threats were made. But beneath the chaos lay a singular, uncomfortable truth. The galaxy had made a catastrophic miscalculation. Far from Earth, on a previously unmapped world now known simply as Haven, Commander Elena Reeves reviewed holographic reports in the command center of humanity's first extrasolar colony. What had begun as an emergency evacuation site had evolved into something more, a proving ground for technologies freed from conclave restrictions. The Nexus protocol is functioning exactly as designed, reported Dr. Kapoor, now director of Earth's Advanced Systems Division. Every piece of conclave tech that interfaced with our systems over the past century left with a dormant fragment of our code. With the activation signal, those fragments have awakened, creating a shadow network that spans the entire conclave. Elena nodded, studying the galaxy map where thousands of tiny red lights indicated infected systems. And they can't shut it down. They don't even fully understand it exists. Sanjay replied with professional satisfaction. The beauty of Nexus is that it doesn't hijack their systems. It simply observes, learns, occasionally introduces subtle anomalies that seem like normal technical glitches. And Operation Starfall. Sanjay's expression turned serious, ready for implementation on your command. But Elena, he rarely used her first name. This crosses a line. Once activated, the conclave will know exactly who's responsible. Good, Elena said firmly. It's time they remembered who they chose to make an enemy of. That night, across conclave space, every communication system simultaneously broadcast the same message. A simple set of coordinates followed by a timestamp. No threats, no demands, just an invitation. The coordinates led to a nameless star system on the edge of charted space. The time indicated was precisely 1 standard week in the future. Despite furious debate in the conclave, curiosity and desperation prevailed. A delegation was assembled, led reluctantly by Vexnar himself. What they found at the coordinates changed everything. Not a fleet of warships, not a superweapon. Instead, a single installation floating in space, a technological marvel unlike anything the conclave had ever seen. A perfect sphere of what appeared to be liquid metal, constantly shifting yet maintaining its form. And before it, a single human vessel, small, unimposing, waiting. "This is Commander Elena Reeves of Earth," came the transmission. "Welcome to the demonstration." Without warning, the sphere pulsed once. Throughout the conclave delegation's ships, systems briefly flickered, then restored. "What you just witnessed," Elena continued calmly, "was a controlled test of what we call the Starfall Protocol. For approximately 3 seconds, we suspended the quantum field that enables your faster-than-light communications, your gravity stabilizers, and your navigational systems." Panic erupted on the conclave ships as the implications became clear. "Had we wished," Elena continued, "we could have extended that suspension indefinitely, stranding your entire civilization in the dark ages of sublight travel and isolated worlds. We did not, because contrary to what you might believe, humanity does not seek the conclave's destruction." On the Lid conclave vessel, Vexnar trembled with a mixture of rage and fear. "What do you want, human?" he demanded when he finally found his voice. Elena's response was measured. "Recognition of reality, counselor. You believed you could discard humanity and continue as before. That assumption is proven incorrect." Behind her, the sphere pulsed again, this time projecting a galactic map showing hundreds of new star systems, human colonies and outposts established in the year since their expulsion, all outside traditional conclave space. In 1 year, we have expanded further without you than we did in a century under your restrictions. We have developed technologies your scientists declared impossible. We have forged alliances with species at the edges of your influence. Her voice hardened. You do not need to fear us, counselor. But you do need to accept that the galaxy has changed. Humanity will not return to the conclave as supplicants. We will not beg for readmission. But we are willing to establish a new relationship. As equals, not subjects. The terms that followed were simple but revolutionary. Earth would share its new technologies and reestablish trade, but only with worlds that recognized human sovereignty. The conclave could continue to exist, but a new independent alliance would form alongside it, led by humanity and open to any species that wished to join. This is blackmail, Vexnar hissed. This is evolution, Alina corrected. Species adapt or they perish. The conclave attempted to remove an element it found disruptive. Instead, you accelerated our development beyond your control. Now you must adapt to this new reality. As the conclave delegation returned home with humanity's terms, the galaxy held its breath. Some worlds immediately announced their intention to accept human sovereignty and technology sharing. Others doubled down on isolation, fortifying their borders against human influence. But the momentum had shifted irrevocably. The Starfall demonstration had proven what many had already suspected. Humanity had not been weakened by expulsion. They had been unleashed. 6 months later, the Treaty of Haven was signed, not by the conclave as a whole, but by 27 individual worlds, recognizing Earth as the center of a new interstellar alliance. The conclave, diminished but still powerful, continued to exist alongside this new human-led coalition. On Earth, the population celebrated what many saw as vindication. But in her private office, Commander Alina Reeves, now appointed as Earth's first Galactic Strategic Director, studied reports of conclave military movements with concern. They're rebuilding their fleets, Major Takai observed, now her chief of intelligence. Accelerating weapons development. The hardliners aren't giving up. I never expected they would. Alina replied. This isn't over, Major. It's simply entering a new phase. War? He asked quietly. Alina shook her head. Competition. For the first time, the galaxy has a choice between two visions of civilization. Ours will prove superior not through conquest, but through results. She gestured to the galaxy map, where human influence expanded like a steadily growing constellation. They tried to extinguish our light. Instead, they forced us to shine brighter. Across the stars, humanity's message spread, not through violence or intimidation, but through the power of its example. Worlds that joined the Haven Accord flourished with new technologies. Species that had been marginalized under conclave hierarchy found equal partnership with humans. The rigid structure that had governed galactic civilization for millennia began to transform. And on distant worlds, citizens looked up at unfamiliar stars and whispered a new truth that spread despite all efforts to contain it. The conclave had tried to banish humanity, only to discover that you cannot exile those who forge their own path among the stars. In the end, humanity's greatest revenge wasn't destruction or domination. It was showing the galaxy what freedom from fear could accomplish. The chains had been broken, and they would never be forged again.